Okay, hi, I'm back. All I did when I was gone was to do a little abrading. Uh, as you can see, it's getting into somewhat more of a traditional looking shape, but as you also should be able to see, it's got a bunch of funkiness and thickness, and it has some classic steps on it where I'm shooting in kind of a uh, non-pure silica kind of material here, and I'm doing it from a distance on fair thinness, and the edge preparation, the platforms weren't holding enough to undercut and just run, and so basically I'm doing everything wrong is what I'm saying. And so if you ever find yourself in this situation where you've got this preform, biface, whatever you want to call it, and you don't like it, well, it's still time to try and do the best you can do to fix it. Um, and this is set up the way that I've done this largely to try and use indirect, because you wouldn't want the edge quite that thick and with no taper to it like this one. The other side would be okay to set stuff up with your issue stick on an isolated platform. Hey, I could do that. I could do that. I could actually do something right, and it would be really impressive to you. Hang on. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up an isolated platform and show you that they can just get you out of all manner of trouble. I'm talking all manner of trouble. Come home too late at night, say, where you been? I was out with my buddies, the isolated platforms. You'll be all right. Right in here. Okay, there's a step. There's a little bit of a ridge there. This platform is right at the center line, and so hitting that is not likely to run through and get all the way over there and take out that thing. So the first thing I'm going to do, come this direction, I'm going to lower it a little bit. And then I'll abrade that. Try and get the right angle on it too. Alright, so now I'm going to come on either side of it and try and isolate it a little bit. Or a lot. I just do what the issue stick tells me to do. Alright, so now, but I want it a little stouter than it is now that I've cut right beside it. I'm trying to round it off, and not really round it off, but stouten it. I'm trying to stouten it quite a bit. Alright. That's it right there. Can you see it? So I create a little ridge there that's directly in line with this ridge over here. There's my little isolated platform, and it's closer to the center line than it is to this front face because I'm going for a thick flake. Trying to get all the I was trying to use a fine abrader to sort of smooth it to where it will and when you go to take an important flake like we're pretending this one really is, dress your bit. Dress your bit. Alright, so now what I'm going to try and do too is I'm going to try and support the heck out of this. I'm going to push hard. Put it on here. Can you see this? I hope so. Put it on there. Remember which way I'm going with this thing. And I'm pushing hard inward. Okay. So, can you see this? There's my little step. And I undercut it. I came all the way over here. Lowered this quite a bit. And it terminated right there about 1/8 of an inch from the other edge. So that's what setting things up right, as opposed to the way I normally do things, will do for you. Okay? All right. So now you know. So now you no longer have to do as I do. Do as I have told you works. Because this is all wrong. That's kind of like up and down, round. It doesn't have the right bevel on it or whatever. There's a little step there. So this is just a try and see what happens kind of deal with power. To try and undercut stuff. And yeah, it worked, but I actually got more meat of it than I wanted to because I don't know that I'll be fluting that base like that or establishing convexity on that. But I wasn't necessarily in a fluting mood anyway. I need to, there was a little ridge there and I just ran that over there. I need to get back into maybe trying to make another fulsome. I haven't made a fulsome in a long time. And one of the things I need to do is I need to try and, I'm kind of interested in trying to flute a fulsome with indirect. And see if with super rigid support I can actually blow a flake far enough to do any good. I'm not a huge believer in using percussion for long flutes, but there are some people that think that that's the way that a lot of it may have been done, and I haven't really experimented. But I get to thinking, you know, well, hey, if I'm not selling my points, which I don't, and if I'm not using fancy great rock, which I don't, and I'm not too worried about how they turn out sometimes, which I'm not, then maybe I'm one of the people that should be doing more experimenting, since it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm losing anything by doing it. Blasting through a ridgy, weird area to feather out, you know, in a low area. So often, you know, your platforms are just too knife-edged and thin to stand up to what they need to run your flake as far as you want to run it. You got to toughen them up so that you can get your flakes past the center line, and so you can undercut enough to get rid of the thickness you're trying to get rid of. That lowered it quite a bit. It started tearing in there though. That's no big deal. It's not into my point, so. But again, you can say, well, you know, what are you making? Because if you're making something that doesn't need to be wide, again, you're attacking issues from long distance unnecessarily and hinging stuff out in the middle when you could have just waited till you got closer to it. And I'd say, yeah, I know, get off my case. So, yeah, this stuff could have used just a smidge of heat. It just seems like some of the wider flints just don't flow if they don't have a tiny little bit of heat to just melt them into thinking that they're sweeter or something like that. I really need to quit showing you all this, because what I'm doing is actually quite dangerous if you don't have your finger way out under the edge. If you're kind of like hitting the end of your finger, you may be okay. But otherwise, you're hitting above the edge. If you go back and watch like video number 2 of my first Bad Abo series, you will see what happens. But in fairness to me, on that one I really caught way too much of it with the flake that if you look at it, and you look at it like a million times in slow motion, I'm kidding. What you'll see is that I way got too much of it. Hinge, you're too low. Hinge out, ooh, and I'm starting to mess up there, because that's thickness, and that needs to be undercut, not made worse. What am I gonna do? Just till I hit that one a little harder. Trying to quit messing around here and quit messing up here. That was that where that little hinge was that I said I hit into again. I just took it out with the edge of that other flake. That was actually hit on a real rounded off area that shouldn't have been hit. I think it's a really good thing that I never went into the flint knapping business full time. Let's see, what else can I have? My brain isn't working that well today. And you probably already noticed that, but I'm trying to think what I should be telling you that I haven't told you about stuff today. I think that it would be good for people that want to see a couple of alternative styles by masters. Number one, I think Curtis Smith has got, if you look for Curtis Smith flint knapping, I think he's got like a couple of videos up there that Marty's, I think, and Marty narrates. And then Jason Newman has put some videos up. I can't remember if I asked him to do it, or I know he put one up just because I wanted him to show me how he does oblique flaking like an Angosturas. And those two guys are something else. And then of course Marty's got a bunch of cool stuff up. I just watch his stuff over and over. What I do with my punch. Yeah. But of course, Jim Wynn, I guess, he's got a series that he's got all these things that cover like everything, you know, from got a lot more energy than I ever will. Trying to do some good here now, you know, I'm trying to really blow stuff across and do some major flattening and thinning of areas that I have been neglecting. I don't know if you can see how well that blended, but that was, I mean, go me on that one, that was pretty cool. On support, this end, and then either side of where I'm hitting with the indirect, because with the indirect, my angles are so good because it's so easy for me to read, you know, the punch and know what angle I'm hitting at, is I don't need support directly underneath where I'm hitting. Sometimes I do it with the folded deerskin, but it's just not really, it's not critical like it is when I'm beveling downward on the edge with direct, because the flake is at the proper angle already and it's going to shoot in at the angle it's supposed to, so I don't have to try and make it do that. Just got to get it right. That ran all the way over to there. That one did too. That one ran over there. So basically, let's see, what did I do just then? I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all of them ran to the center or further, so I can come back in from the other side. Or, you know, since it's still wide, if I wanted to, I can wait and bring it in a little bit and then attack it, but you get the idea. This isn't the way to nap. I need to go teach myself how to nap and then come back and try and help y'all. I've kind of confounded myself a little bit right here because I've got a hinge there, I've got a hinge there, I've got low spots and hinges into there. So in order to clean all this up, my choices are becoming limited in that I need to go ahead and come in here a little more and raise that edge up, and I could shoot one in through here, and I could bevel down on that, and I could definitely shoot a flute type thing up there. But when you get yourself into a situation like this, a lot of times the better thing to do is just go ahead and come on in a little closer to it carefully so you don't step it all up while you're getting in there, and then just attack it from a little closer. It's no big deal if you do. The cool thing about the more that you nap, the less anything like that stymies you and makes it where you can't get around it or can't get through it. It's not. I mean, you'd like to not do it in the first place. The best way for me to not do it in the first place would be to not do videos. Because y'all aren't really quite seeing the real me when it comes to the napping, because that was helpful, because I undercut that little area where it kind of tore that was worrying me a little bit. But so much of my stuff is not set up right. And that's just totally not right. I gotta fix that one. I gotta come down with it. See, it was right in the center line and it just skated on it. And these rough abraders, see, instead of getting my flaker and flaking it, what I just did was I just gouged it a couple of times, and it just eats into it and flakes off of it and lowered it. And it's 17 minutes, so I'll be back.